You're live.
I am?
Yep.
Right now?
Yep.
Holy crap! Oh, hi, folks. Right. Yeah, it's me. It's Kordranowski. Hey, and it's something going on. Yeah, Alan checking in. 2 tweets sent out. Okay, thanks, Alan. Sorry for the rough beginning, but let's start here. My name is Kordranowski, publisher of Yankee T News. It is Monday, October 27th, the year of our Lord 2025, and we are here at the Parkway Diner in Stamford, Connecticut, where every Monday, as best we can, we give you the latest, the greatest, the most astonishing and weird, as far as news in the world is concerned, and things that that people should pay more attention to. And speaking of paying attention to, I'm still trying to find this one statistic that I saw that says it all, okay? If I could just find it. Darn it. Okay, I'll just have to try and produce it later. So let's start at the top. The op-ed today is Trump trips the light fantastic on his trip to Asia. Yes, he does, okay? And it just so happens that I have a link up where he is greeted by a dance troupe in Malaysia as he gets off the plane, and he's dancing with them. They're having a good old time. So if anything's tripping the light fantastic, I'd say that qualifies.
Hi.
Meantime, hey, Willem.
Hi, Coach.
Hey,
Hi, Eric.
all right, yeah, we're on the air right now. Yeah, we're on the air right now. Okay, so there's been a lot of back and forth. How are we doing? Okay, a lot of back and forth on what will happen in this trip. Now, I started out by pointing out that Trump will have to bring all his very best skills at 5-dimensional chess to this situation. Now, one correction I want to make is that when I was looking at this, we saw all the high-level stuff, primarily what would happen with China. We also heard the mention of the deal that will probably be made with Japan, where he's going to get them to invest many billions more dollars in America, okay? Meantime, my question was, well, if you're going to these regional conferences for ASEAN and APEC, aren't you going to like talk with the guys from Cambodia and Malaysia, the host, and a few others? And not much was said. But today, not too long ago, it was already announced that there were going to be some trade deals. Cool. This is what we're looking for. This is what we need. And I still take the position, but here's the thing that's weird. All right, first of all, I take the position that Trump has to build up, if you will, in his Asian trip, a string of successes, so that when he comes face to face with Xi, he too can bargain from an even greater position of strength. And I say this in light of the other thing we heard. Does Eric, you remember what it was? The saying that Xi is using now, concede nothing and punch hard, or something like that? Yeah, right. So already, you know, Xi is telegraphing how he's going to act. And I'm sure that President Trump is taking full appreciation of that fact. Okay. Meantime, where I'm thinking, okay, the schedule says on October 30th, they're supposed to have this big meeting in South Korea at the APEC conference. Okay, but why should I be surprised? Okay, none of these things happen, whether it's the Chinese, American, any country with trade negotiations. You always prepare, okay? You're always pulling together all your arguments, all the things you're going to offer as deals. And then you have the meeting with the low-level officials who then work out the, quote, framework for the trade deal, okay? And this is a run-up in the days before the actual meeting. Well, that's happening all over again, no surprise. So it becomes curious to me if this concept of concede nothing and punch hard is going to be applied. It's going to be, well, they're trying to develop the framework, but we're not hearing anything about that. So I don't know what to say. all right? And we could expect other surprises. So the little thing that came along we didn't know about was what? On day one, who showed up, who was not a part of the conference? That's right, our top honchos from, you want to tell me, Eric? Who were those top honchos who showed up? Hint, Idaho.
Montana.
No. The Qatari officials. Remember, there was the thing about setting up the Air Force pilot training base in Idaho for the Qataris.
Oh, yes.
Right? So there was a big dust up over that. And so they show up at this meeting. They have nothing to do with it. But there they are. Which then leads to my next question. Okay, look, the membership for the ASEAN conference and the APEC conference are defined. There are certain countries, so look, Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia. Well, you know, Indonesia in particular is what confuses me. Okay, and then you have there's some overlap, but you get the other countries. There's South Korea, Japan with APEC. Okay, so how come there are no trade deals with Indonesia yet? It's a very large country. There's been no discussion about it. Also, even though they're not members, hey, they're kind of in the area. You are in Asia. How come we're not hearing anything about India? How come we're not hearing anything about our good buddy Australia? So there are parts of this where I'm looking at it and saying, things don't quite make sense. But you know what? We're going to move on to some other things that don't make sense either. So let's all remain confused. The next hot item, where did you go? Okay, next hot item. I have too many papers, guilty. All right, rare earths. We know that's going to be top of the agenda with these trade negotiation groups, okay? So let me say a few things about the lovely subject of rare earth minerals. Here's what we are commonly told. China owns 90% of the world production in rare earth minerals. And the US has maybe the remaining 10%, maybe a little less. Now, the story begins to get a little more complicated when you consider the history. So if you could just put that up there, Eric, for me. Okay, so there are those, so the large, what is that big color? Is that a blue? Blue. Okay, that's the history of China's rare earth mineral production. And you can see they've increased it significantly, what, since about 2010 or so, roughly?
Actually,
earlier?
between 1985 and 1990.
Okay, they really started to kick it up. Okay, meantime, look at the United States, okay? We were up at some point. Let's see if I can get this right. We were dominant. Yeah, there was a point at which the United States and China were about the same level, which was 40,000 metric tons, I guess, per year, and that was in about 1985. But then America went into decline, China went up. And also it was the, what was that, Mountain Pass mine? It's the one mine they talk about in America that produces rare earth minerals. All right, so now we're starting to sweat BBs because, oh no, we're going to have these shortages. Oh no, the military will be affected. Oh no, American industry is going to be affected because we won't have enough of these rare earth minerals with which to extract these metals that we need. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you we need to relax just a little bit. So I'm just going to share with you the latest news on, where did it go? This is maddening, but I'll find it. Okay, here are recent, all right, before I get to the recent discoveries, there's another map I need to show you. Right here we go. Okay, there's the American map. If you look at those little red dots, if they can see them, those are areas in America where new discoveries have been made for rare earth mineral deposits. So and missing on the map is Arkansas, for example, and I think there was something in Louisiana. And then you see that big yellow blob there, which is the area for lithium fluids, as they call them, okay? So look, it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Now, if you've been following the news, there's a 10th one missing, and that's up in Alaska on a place called Ambler Road. Ambler Road. Well, it turns out that Trump had approved development of this deposit, which is huge, by the way, but in his first term. But then Biden, being the good communist that he is, decided we're not going to develop that mine. You know, the usual excuses with environmental development. Come on, get real. You know, Alaska's a huge place. All right, so now Trump is back and he's restarted the project, and the road, it's a long road, it's going to be about 100 miles plus to get into the site that's being built if it hasn't been completed already. No sooner is that announced than China says, dude, we're going to put up export restrictions on rare earth minerals, so you folks can go screw yourself. Only problem was we're already being proactive about finding these other deposits. Okay, so there's this. Oh, there she is. There she is, Miss America. Oh yeah, we're into it. Okay, so we have other discoveries of rare earth minerals, and then I've got the showstopper for you. Get ready for the showstopper. This one will shock you. Okay, Wyoming, Texas, Georgia. Do we have any other states here? Okay. It's a Smackover formation from East Texas to Florida. This is where you find the lithium-rich fluid. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about, would you please behave? The man that I count on when things get into trouble, and he's back there acting like a fifth grader. I can't believe it. All right, okay. Yeah, right. It's just so you know. All right, here's the one, ladies and gentlemen. You may or may not be familiar with this. Yes, we do have a number of coal-powered electrical utilities. Coal-powered. Well, what happens when you burn coal? You get ashes, and you get what is called fly ash. Now, it just so happens when I was a young technician working in a plant that made filtration products, we would run tests using coal fly ash. So I'm directly familiar with it. So here's the thing. Based upon a study, it is estimated that there are at least $8.4 billion worth of rare earth minerals in the United States coal fly ash, a waste product, a pollutant that upsets environmentalists, okay? And the bus weasel, wherever he happens to be at the moment. Okay, so here they're just talking about the landfills. We're constantly producing fly ash from these power plants, okay? So one, the fly ash itself could be a source for these rare earth minerals, an ongoing source, and it could be more substantial than what we're able to mine. I mean, we don't know what these other deposits are going to show. And then in addition to that, right, in addition to that, we have vast deposits of coal in this country, which means the coal deposits themselves may be sources for rare earth minerals. So we have to take a whole new look at all this crap about rare earth minerals. Yes, we have to get them and build up reserves as quickly as we can, but we're not going to be left with our pants down as far as these are concerned, okay? So that's the big thing. Meantime, I just want one other thing about rare earths. This guy, my friend here at Zero Hedge, and it says, rare earth stocks go vertical after report Pentagon to go on 1 billion critical mineral buying spree. Okay. The fact that there's a need, all right, for these rare earth minerals, and then you add to that, yes, okay, keep going. That's right, he's the producer after all. So so it's going to be an area to invest in. This is what I'm trying to say. Do your homework, study these things. Don't take my investment advice. Talk to your advisor. But rare earth mineral stocks may be something to be taking a close look at. Okay, that is my rare earth mineral dadu. Okay, now let's deal with the next problem here, which is, would you like some water, Will? Water? I mean.
No, he doesn't drink water, he only drinks
Beer. I guess beer. Okay, I guess beer is. Hopefully that helps. Okay. All right. So, meantime, let me talk about a friend of mine. Now, Wilm over here, who is a strong Russophile. I'm kind of a Russophile myself, but the thing here is that there is this guy, his name is Paul Warburg, and Paul Warburg has been producing an endless stream of videos that are basically in the Russia is losing, Russia is losing, Russia is losing propaganda camp for some, which is to be distinguished from Scott McGregor, or is it Douglas? No, Douglas McGregor. Douglas McGregor, he keeps talking about Ukraine is losing, Ukraine is losing, Ukraine is losing.
We love Douglas McGregor.
But when you keep saying the same thing over and over again, and it turns out to not be true, your credibility is hurting a little bit, all right?
Depends on where the information's coming from.
Who cares? Who cares? He's sitting there saying the same thing, and it doesn't pan out. That's the problem. Okay, so I'm just mentioning those damn Warburg videos. They're there for you to look at. And the Russian whack-a-mole begins. This is where President Trump has said, yep, we're going to sanction 2 big oil companies that give a lot of oil to Europe. That would be Rosneft and Lukoil. And that's funny, if anybody remembers, America used to have some Lukoil gas stations. In other words, we had this deal inviting them to set up some gas stations to sell their products in America. So I don't know where they went. They never had more than 2% market share anyway. But, so here's the problem, right? These sanctions are being imposed. Europe is going to have to figure out what they're going to do. And by the way, just a quick footnote. I mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before. We have since learned, well, part one is that the oil that was being bought by India, okay, was being processed and sold to Europe. Weren't supposed to do that. It took Europe a while to figure that out. So they said, okay, we're not going to buy these products from India anymore. One of the problem, okay? It turns out that it's one refinery that all this oil from Russia was going to in India. And that one refinery was, oh yeah, owned by Russians. Owned by Russians. So sending Russian oil to a Russian-owned refinery in India, making you think they're selling it to India when they're not. Okay?
Big crowd today.
Yes. Shh. We're recording. Shh. Boy, it's tough having a studio audience, let me tell you, especially when they're a rowdy studio audience. Okay. So that sounds like a problem. I mean, the Russia thing will with Russia and India will set aside. But Lukoil and Rosneft, this is I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, in my humble opinion, it is another non-issue, okay? Russia has very smartly adapted to all these other sanctions that have been imposed on it. They'll figure out how to do this here. And of course, the problem on the American side now is, well, gee, if you're trying to keep these European countries from getting Russian oil through Lukoil and Rosneft, and now you're going to sell American oil instead? Well, I have a funny feeling that the American oil is going to be a little bit more expensive. Could be a problem. Okay, so who are your friends really? This is what we want to know. Okay, so we'll hear about this in due time. All right, now let me move on. I need to jump on Venezuela. Okay. Venezuela's Maduro is sure quick to talk smack. And by the way, Maduro is already sending 2 different messages, all right? On the one hand, it is said that he has appealed to Trump. And he says, I'll do whatever you want, okay? I'll give you whatever you need. Just don't make crazy war on me. Okay, that's one side. Let's flip the page. And now what do we get? Oh, you crazy Americans, I have 5,000 Russian missiles. I will aim at you, you Yankee dog, if you dare come to Venezuela. What are we supposed to believe? I don't know. Got any suggestions? Okay, so let me just say that the situation in Venezuela will continue to increase in pressure, and it will continue to increase in insanity. And do I have to tell you the obvious? Maybe I do. Forgive me. How long? Let me just ask the rhetorical question. How long? Maybe Bob, you're our chief conspiracy theorist, and you're our vice conspiracy theorist, Debbie. How long would you say that the CIA and other intelligence assets have been operating on the ground in Venezuela. Any guesses?
10 years, 15 years.
Must be at least. Must be at least. Tell me they don't already know where everything is. Tell me they don't already know where the bodies are buried. Tell me they don't know who they're going to go after first when the balloon goes up. You know, so I just, anyway, enough of my stuff. All right, next. Aha, no kings. Let's a look back at what we now know as the coup de flop. That's right, the coup de flop. So there's a gentleman. He's a psychiatrist. His name is, oh, where did he go? Come on, I had it here a second ago. He did a psychoanalysis of sorts, if you will, of many of the protesters who did this no kings doo-wah diddy. And so it would be summarized as this, if you're with me on this. Okay. He said, Axios data analysis showed that the typical attendees looked like, at the Washington, D.C. protest, 86% of the surveyed protesters were white, 57% were women, and somebody is disturbing everything. Is that you, Carola, again?
Sorry.
People got to remember to turn off their phones. Okay, so let me say, sounds nice. Thank you. Okay, so 86% were white, 57% were women. The median age of the participants was a predictable 44 years old. That's younger than a lot of us here. I think that's younger than just about all of us here. Oh my God, there's a scary thought. All right, so the question is, what drives these old, white, leftist women who happen to be well-educated to do something like this? As the psychiatrist, what was his name? Jonathan Alpert noted, we're seeing a kind of group therapy playing out in the streets. So the thought here is that these primarily women who went out in the street to engage in this idiotic, pointless, no kings protest were looking for validation, okay? You know, there's this heartfelt need to be compassionate. There's this heartfelt need that you care about something and you're going to express that care in some fashion. Doesn't matter if it's right, doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense, but you're going to go out there and you're going to share your feelings on the subject. So there's that. Next. Oh, this is a good one. I love this one. Student handcuffed. AI thought he had a gun. Anybody hear this one? Yeah, okay. It turns out this poor young teenager in Maryland was just standing there in a street corner enjoying a bag of Doritos. And the visual analytic capabilities of this AI security camera saw that bag of Doritos and said, oh, it's a gun! So the police immediately arrested the guy, only to find out that what they thought was a gun was a bag of Doritos. Okay? If you've been following me, you know that I have bitched endlessly. AI is not ready for prime time. It is not, okay? And here's just another example, all right? And speaking of not ready for prime time, we have to talk about the World Health Organization. There have been proposals to just get out of the World Health Organization and in fact disband the damn thing. Because all it is a hotbed for some very sick sociopaths who insist on finding ways in order to impose medical tyranny around the world. If they're going to do it one way, they're going to do it another way. So now they're working on an emergency plan. And we just, you know, they have to be reminded, we're not buying it, so stop. And by the way, and there's another parenthetical note, same problem with digital, what am I trying to say? Digital ID, central bank digital currency, same stuff. You know, we cannot go to sleep on this stuff. We have to stay on top of it. All right, now for some good news. So a revival is underway. Bible sales, Christian music, faith apps are on the rise. And by the way, I want to mention a friend of mine who is an avid churchgoer from my area, Killingworth. the churches there have reported a significant increase in attendance following the unfortunate assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I think this is something that's happening nationally. So, something has to become established, and I'm just not sure what it will be yet. But, let me point out, by the way, that, okay, there continues to be this tension in China between Christians and the Communist Party, no surprise there. And so now we have well, there are two things. One is supposedly the Pope, you can correct me on this, Eric, but the new Pope is not willing to carry on with the old arrangements for bishops. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, but then you'd have to explain them opening their doors to Muslim prayer inside the Vatican.
Oh, well, that's okay. Let's set that aside for the moment. Okay, the issue here is China.
I understand, but
Yes.
I'm just saying that overall it's inconsistent with it, like,
Yeah, okay.
it's just inconsistent.
Yeah, well, it's called we're awaiting the explanation. In the meantime, the point is that China has been trying to discourage these underground Christian churches, not having a lot of success. So as far as I know, Christianity has continued to grow in communist China. But now the news comes that they have started to increase the level at which they're cracking down on these underground churches. Well, in my mind, the only reason they would increase cracking down is because they're seeing an increase in activity. All right? So where did I put it? Let me go back now. Yep, okay. Increase in activity, 20 countries, one of which is China. Okay? And so what China does is they try to crack down on the Christians. So something is happening, all right? Something is happening. All right, the other, let's see, I just want to make sure I got all my ducks covered here.
They have heard Charlie Kirk's message
What?
over there.
Well, it's one way or another, one way or another. Again, the way information flows, you think back to the repressive days of the Soviet Union and still information managed to get around. Solzhenitsyn's book got out of there as well. So yeah. All right, so this is Moon Mission to the Swiss Alps. So this is about a group in Switzerland that is doing its own simulations of setting up a moon base and finding out what it's like to be an astronaut. Very interesting because it's an independent group. So this is different from all the other activities. And somehow these people, so they expect to get involved somehow, which is going to tell you that all things moon colonization is going to grow. And it's growing in a spontaneous way with things like this in Switzerland. Who knew? All right, so I got that out of the way. Meantime, Tina Peters, all right? What the hell with these people? Now, come on. Oh, man, all right? So here's the thing with Tina, right? She's still in prison, and there's a couple of court cases. Tina Peters. Okay, so there was an article, I didn't cover it fast enough. It came out a couple weeks ago. The point here is this brings the corruption home. It's another case of you've got conflict of interest staring you in the face, and you just say it doesn't exist when it's right there in front of you, all right? What do you have with Colorado election officials, including those who have had a role in prosecuting Tina Peters, having worked for Dominion Systems? Oh, no conflict of interest there. Anyway, that has to be worked out, so I just had to share that with you. And I'm getting down there. All right, the other thing is, I got two long pieces here. The links are up. Go to the website. And it's about what we will call the prostate hoax. Basically, the medical industry is preying on us old men and scaring us into these surgical procedures that we really don't need as far as prostate is concerned. And I think I've been trying to find the statistic here, but the big thing is, it's something like 75% of the men who are diagnosed with prostate cancer survive prostate cancer.
Yeah.
All right? All right, so that doesn't mean the treatment isn't needed, but they've challenged the need for screening. And then, the procedures that are used, the benefits of those are highly questionable. So there's two great pieces on that. I'm almost done. When is a war not a war? This is a review by the American thinker on the different ways in which the communist Chinese government continues to do things quote, behind our back. So it's the concept of asymmetrical warfare. You may have heard of it. But the connection I didn't make, but in hindsight it's obvious, is that fentanyl, which has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, would be a tool of asymmetrical warfare. Okay, so I have to think about that for a while. But more importantly is the message of this article. President Trump is taking a proactive approach, starting with Venezuela. Good, and we expect more of that. So on that happy note, I am done. Until next week.